Welcome back, and thank you for joining us once again. Tonight, we explore the story of a ruler many people underestimated. He wasn't known for grand speeches, lavish displays of power, or ruthless ambition. His name was Marcus Aurelius. And the man many dismissed as weak would become one of the greatest emperors Rome ever produced. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and join us for more remarkable stories from history. Marcus Aurelius was born in Rome in 121 AD during one of the most stable periods the Roman Empire had ever known. At the time, Rome controlled vast territories stretching across Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Its armies were feared. Its cities flourished. Its wealth seemed endless. Many people assumed the empire's future was secure. But history rarely remains peaceful for long. From an early age, Marcus appeared different from many aristocratic boys around him. He showed little interest in luxury. While wealthy Romans often enjoyed extravagant lifestyles, Marcus preferred simplicity. Ancient sources describe him sleeping on the floor at times and embracing self-discipline long before he became emperor. More importantly, he developed a deep fascination with philosophy. Especially Stoicism. Stoic philosophy taught that people could not control external events. They could only control their responses. Fame, fortune, comfort, power. All could disappear. Character was what truly mattered. Marcus took those ideas seriously. Very seriously. His unusual personality attracted attention. Eventually, Emperor Hadrian noticed the intelligent young nobleman and reportedly referred to him affectionately as Verissimus, meaning most truthful. That reputation followed Marcus throughout his life. In a political world filled with ambition and manipulation, honesty made him stand out. It also made some people question whether he possessed the ruthlessness necessary to rule an empire. The Roman succession system during this period worked differently than many monarchies. Instead of automatically passing power to biological sons, emperors often adopted capable successors. Marcus entered this chain of succession when Emperor Antoninus Pius adopted him. Suddenly, the philosophical young man found himself preparing for something extraordinary. One day, he would rule Rome. For years, Marcus trained patiently. He studied law, government, military affairs, public administration. Yet even as he prepared for power, philosophy remained central to his identity. Many future rulers dreamed about becoming emperor. Marcus often seemed burdened by the possibility. Responsibility interested him more than authority. Duty mattered more than prestige. Those traits would later define his reign. In 161 AD, Antoninus Pius died. Marcus Aurelius became emperor. But instead of ruling alone, he did something unusual. He insisted on sharing power with his adoptive brother, Lucius Verus. This decision surprised many observers. Roman politics was often driven by competition. Power was rarely shared voluntarily. Marcus believed cooperation would strengthen the empire. Some interpreted the choice as generosity. Others saw weakness. Perhaps they wondered whether the new emperor lacked confidence. They would soon discover how wrong they were. Because almost immediately, disaster struck. Then another. Then another. A major war erupted against the Parthian Empire in the east. Roman armies marched into battle while Marcus managed affairs from the capital. Although Lucius Verus played a more direct military role initially, the conflict placed enormous pressure on the empire. The Romans eventually achieved victory. But they brought something deadly home with them. A devastating epidemic. Known today as the Antonine Plague, the disease spread rapidly throughout the empire. Historians still debate its exact nature, though many suspect it may have been smallpox. Whatever it was, the consequences were catastrophic. Cities suffered. Communities weakened. Trade declined. The military lost countless soldiers. Ancient estimates vary, but the plague likely killed millions across the empire over many years. Imagine ruling the most powerful empire on earth while watching entire regions struggle beneath disease. Marcus faced exactly that reality. And the crisis was only beginning. Along Rome's northern borders, Germanic tribes increasingly challenged imperial defenses. Pressure mounted along the Danube frontier. Raids intensified. Settlements came under attack. The emperor who supposedly lacked military toughness now faced one of the greatest military threats of his generation. Many Roman emperors preferred governing from palaces. Marcus spent years on campaign. Years. Not weeks. Not months. Years. He traveled to the frontier and remained with his troops despite harsh conditions. Cold winters. Endless logistics. Constant warfare. The philosopher emperor became a soldier emperor because circumstances demanded it. One of the most remarkable aspects of Marcus Aurelius is that much of what we know about his inner thoughts comes directly from his own writing. During military campaigns, he kept a personal journal. Not intended for publication. Not written to impress anyone. Simply private reflections. Those writings later became known as the Meditations. Today, it remains one of the most influential philosophical books ever written. What makes Meditations extraordinary is its honesty. Marcus was not writing as a triumphant ruler boasting about success. He was writing as a human being struggling with responsibility. Reminding himself to remain patient. To control anger. To endure hardship. To act justly. Again and again, he returned to the same question. How can a person remain good when the world becomes difficult? At times, the entries almost sound surprisingly modern. Marcus reflects on difficult coworkers. On dealing with criticism. On accepting death. On maintaining focus amid distractions. The most powerful man in the Western world spent his evenings reminding himself not to complain. Not to become arrogant. Not to abandon virtue. That humility remains striking nearly 2,000 years later. Meanwhile, the wars continued. The Marcomannic Wars became some of the most significant conflicts of his reign. Germanic tribes crossed borders in unprecedented numbers. Some even threatened regions closer to Italy itself. The danger was real. Had Rome failed to respond effectively, the empire's future might have looked very different. Marcus helped coordinate military operations that stabilized the frontier and restored Roman control. The campaigns were costly. Demanding. Exhausting. But they succeeded. This is where the image of Marcus Aurelius becomes especially fascinating. Many people assume philosophers are unsuited for leadership during crises. They imagine thoughtful people hesitating while stronger personalities act decisively. Marcus challenged that assumption. He demonstrated that reflection and strength are not opposites. A person can be compassionate and resilient, thoughtful and determined, philosophical and effective. Ancient historians often praised his character. Not because he never made mistakes. Every ruler does. But because he consistently tried placing duty above personal interest. Even critics generally acknowledged his integrity. That reputation was rare among emperors. Rome had seen tyrants, corrupt rulers, paranoid rulers, self-indulgent rulers. Marcus stood apart. Of course, history is rarely simple. Modern historians note that Marcus made decisions still debated today. His treatment of certain religious groups, including Christians, remains a topic of discussion among scholars. Some aspects of his reign reflected the limitations and assumptions of Roman society. Like all historical figures, he was neither perfect nor beyond criticism. Recognizing that complexity matters. Yet even with those nuances, Marcus Aurelius remains remarkable. Because he governed during a period of extraordinary difficulty. War, disease, economic pressure, political challenges. Most leaders would have been defined by the crises themselves. Marcus became defined by how he responded to them. In 180 AD, while still campaigning near the Danube frontier, Marcus Aurelius died. The exact cause remains uncertain, though illness is often cited. He was 58 years old. After nearly 2 decades as emperor, the philosopher who never sought glory above duty was gone. His death marked the end of what historians often call the era of the 5 good emperors. An age many later Romans viewed as a golden period of imperial governance. Ironically, one of the greatest threats to Marcus Aurelius's legacy came after his death. Unlike several predecessors who adopted capable successors, Marcus allowed his biological son Commodus to inherit the throne. Commodus would become one of Rome's most controversial emperors. Historians continue debating Marcus's decision. Was it loyalty to family? Political necessity? A rare lapse in judgment? The question remains unresolved. Yet despite that controversy, Marcus Aurelius's reputation endured. Centuries passed. Empires rose and fell. Rome itself disappeared. But his writings survived. Generations of readers found wisdom in the private thoughts of an emperor writing by candlelight near distant battlefields. Military leaders studied him. Politicians quoted him. Philosophers admired him. Ordinary readers discovered comfort in his reflections. Today, Marcus Aurelius is remembered not merely as a Roman emperor. Many emperors commanded armies. Many conquered territory. Many accumulated wealth. Very few left behind a guide for how to live. That is what makes him different. The people who doubted Marcus Aurelius saw a quiet man who loved philosophy. They assumed gentleness meant weakness. Reflection meant indecision. Humility meant lack of strength. History delivered a different verdict. Because when plague struck, he endured. When war came, he led. When power tempted corruption, he resisted more than most. And while countless stronger-looking rulers vanished into obscurity, the supposedly weak emperor became one of history's enduring examples of character under pressure. Somewhere on Rome's distant frontier, amid war, uncertainty, and exhaustion, Marcus Aurelius once wrote a reminder to himself. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Nearly 2,000 years later, people still read those words. Not because he ruled an empire, but because he mastered something far more difficult: himself.